Hello everyone! Following the video we did yesterday about defenses on day 1, I thought it would be a good idea to make a kind of like a follow-up video, a shorter one, talking about EHP. EHP is your effective health pool, or effective health points. And I'm gonna kind of like give you guys a rundown, or what your EHP should look when you're doing each content, and what is something that you should be looking for when building your character. So as we talked in the video we did yesterday, you will have the link in the description of defenses of day 1. The first thing you want to be looking at is capping your resistances. Obviously you're going to be around 75 all resistances, that's really important. And you know, let's just imagine you're level 100, so you're going to be around 1000 HP. Yeah, let's just use round numbers so it's easier to see. So you have 1000 HP. Obviously at the beginning you will have no resistances, but thanks to resistances and how penetration works, if you have 75 resistances, it will mean that your EHP is actually efficient, and you have 1000 EHP because you're not getting affected by monster penetration. Alright, so that's the first thing you want to do. Now, obviously this is like the most basic thing, and this is basically going to make your HP a one-on-one exchange for your EHP calculations. But obviously we need more than that if we want to survive in the game. If you have 1000 HP, 20% of that HP is going to be converted into your endurance threshold. That's going to mean that our threshold is going to be 200. So we get a bit of extra HP thanks to the threshold. Now, the next step after you go into EHP, as we mentioned, would be to cap your crit avoidance, which obviously you would do. So you make sure that you are not going to get crit and suddenly, instead of getting hit for 1000, suddenly you get hit for 2000 and you die. So get your crit avoidance, and then you can work on your endurance damage reduction. This is pretty simple to get. Just craft a couple tier 5 endurance thresholds, maybe get a base, get a blessing, whatever, and try to raise it to the cap, which is 60%. Like you can see that just by doing that, we got another 300 EHP. But again, this is still a bit too low if you want to be doing monolith, empowered monoliths, arena, etc. Since you're gonna be using bases of items that come with some armor, most classes are gonna be like around 500 to like 1000 armor, depending on what you're using. Let's just say we were building a sentinel yesterday. A sentinel will get 1000 armor just for wearing the items, because your chest piece is gonna come with 350 armor, your helmet is gonna come with 250, 150, your gloves, etc. So you can get like 1000 HP. You're gonna be building strength on your passives. But just for the sake of existing and wearing items, you're gonna be around 1000 armor. Obviously, our EHP is going really well, but remember that armor DR is not the same for non-physical damage. So keep in mind that even though versus physical we're gonna be 1600, versus non-physical we're gonna be a bit less, because armor is only half effective. You can see instead of having 23% damage reduction versus non-physical, we only get 11. So keep that in mind. Now, other things that you wanna be looking at. Well, obviously, you could try to raise this number, by having better gear, but using passives that raise your armor, etc. But going back to the Sentinel, as an example, you can get what you call extra sources of damage reduction. For example, in the base Sentinel tree, you have a tree called Armor Claw, I think it's called, and that gives you, we're just gonna call it Armor Claw. That gives you another 10% damage reduction versus nearby enemies, and since you're most likely going to be playing melee, you're always going to benefit from this. So again, now we basically almost double our EHP, literally just by getting a bit of a extra DR on the endurance, and by getting our damage reduction from the passives. Now this would be really basic. This would be like a day 1 character would get kind of thing. Like what we covered on the video. Obviously, 1800 EHP is not that great, especially when mobs start scaling in the monolith, in arena, etc. So what can you do? What can you do to make this EHP go higher? Well, the obvious thing is to get more HP, right? As I mentioned in the video, one of the things that you're going to be focusing on is you're going to try to raise your HP. let's just say you get some HP here and there, some vitality, and you manage to get 2000 HP. This is really doable. You can do this in a couple days. And suddenly our HP is at 3300. Obviously, armor doesn't help against dots, so it's gonna be a bit lower for dots. And keep in mind, it's always gonna be lower for non-physical because of how armor works. You know, let's just say you're grabbing a few passives that give you armor, you know, on the Sentinel tree, or you're using shield throw, whatever you're using, and let's just say you get 2000 armor. Okay, or you can see we're getting close to 4000. Other things you can do. Well, let's just say you should always look for what sources of damage reduction do you have on your class. For example, the Sentinel has block, the Sentinel has Vengeance, right, which comes with damage reduction. If you're using Warpath, you could use Wings of Argentus, the unique chess piece, the unique chess piece that comes with a 40% damage reduction while moving. If you're Warpathing, you're always moving, etc, etc. Other classes like Druid, you know, you have a extra endurance threshold, so it makes it 30% instead of 20%. You have Ursine, you have Berserker node, all of those nodes that are gonna give you less damage taken. If you're playing Mage, you're gonna have Flameboard that gives you less damage taken on activation. If you're playing Rogue, you're gonna have the nodes that give you less damage taken when moving, Glancing Blow, etc. So when you're playing your class, make sure that you are recognizing which are your sources of extra DR and make sure you capitalize on them. For example, if we were playing Hardcore, it would be a very good option to use Vengeance and to spec into the 30% damage reduction. So for example, we're just going to say Vengeance, and we're going to add the 30% damage reduction right here. And you can see our EHP basically almost doubled just by doing that. Not doubled, but we get a big chunk, right, of EHP. Other stuff we could do, we could just get block. Just without much investment, you know, you can get 60% block, 70% block. You can even reach 100% block with really good gear. But let's just say we have 60% block and we have 1500 block effectiveness. Something really simple that you could just get day one. Well, our EHP is obviously going way higher, right? And this is kind of like what you want to do for building characters. Now, this would be a pretty decent character. This character that you have right here, this character could pretty much take on the Monolith. You should have to be careful, but you should be able to push Arena with this, and you would be just fine. So again, if you're playing Monolith, you're dying. You know, you've seen the numbers that I just displayed. Bring your character, put your stats in the calculator, watch what this number is, watch what your one-shot number is, or physical, non-physical, and you can kind of like get an idea if you're doing things right or wrong. Now, this number is still really small for what you can get. All right. For example, if we were playing Rogue, let's completely get rid of all of this, right? And suddenly we're playing Rogue, right? Playing Rogue, and it's a character that is built completely different. You know, the Rogue is gonna be close to 1000 HP because it doesn't build HP, that character, because it doesn't have synergies with HP, right? You're gonna have your resistances. Thanks to shurikens, you can get 4000 armor really easily, right? And what you're gonna do with this character is you're gonna build endurance threshold. Endurance threshold with some good blessings, you can get it up to like 900 pretty easily. Now, you can also add all your dodge passives. Dodge is really good for making EHP go high because it's 100% damage mitigation. Rogue can get 70% dodge, so easy. You can get like fucking 4000 dodge for the sake of existing, pretty much. Really good. You can get 100% glancing blow, you know, if you're using double swords, 100% glancing blow. You can get damage reduction while moving, right, on the rogue tree. We are moving, which is a 25, I'm pretty sure. You can get Wings of Argentus, which is another 40% damage reduction while moving. And you can see how these numbers can get really ridiculous. Like if you have a really good best in slot character and you're optimizing your character perfect, you can get characters really close to 200k EHP. You can do the same for a beefy druid, a beefy sentinel, you know, with like 4000 HP, 100% block, 100% block, with 3000 effectiveness, you know, or even more. You could get. You can get 10% glancing blow on paladin. You can get basically max armor, just if you build properly. You know, full resistance. You can get. This would be like a warpath character, for example. You could get the armor claw and wings of Argentus. Like your DRs can get really ridiculous. And obviously your threshold would be pretty much close to this, without even building it, because it's kills of 4 HP. So again, you get an idea of what the numbers, what is possible in the game, what you should be aiming at, and I hope it helps. Obviously, deciding what you're gonna invest on will depend on class. Classes that have really good synergies with HP, you're gonna build HP. Classes that don't have synergies with HP, you might want to go Endurance, you might want to go Dodge. Some classes build Hybrid, like Beastmaster, etc, etc. So again, that's up to you. If you want to know exactly how to build a specific class or how to focus, you can just ask me in the comments. You can come to my stream and just watch me play the game, ask me questions live, and I'll be happy to help, guys. And yeah, if you want to see more videos like this, or specific topics, let me know. And yeah, I hope it helps. Bye bye.